In our headlines on this Wednesday afternoon, July 24th, here in South Korea. Intense downpours overnight keep roads and bridges in low-lying regions closed here in Seoul, while flash floods affect more than a dozen homes over in Busan, and concerns of landslides keep authorities on high alert in Gangwon-do province. On the local political front, former interim leader Han Dong-hoon is taking the helm of the ruling People Power Party after garnering almost 63% of the votes cast at the party's national convention on Tuesday. Over in the U.S., Vice President Kamala Harris holds her first presidential campaign rally in Wisconsin on Tuesday, asking her crowd to choose between a country of freedom and compassion and one of fear and chaos. Some trash from North Korea's waste-carrying balloons have been found on the compound of the presidential office in Yongsan. According to the Presidential Security Service on this Wednesday, the trash has been removed and poses no risks. Now, security authorities there are also working with military officials for continued monitoring. The latest balloons are among those floated by the regime into South Korea in the early hours of Wednesday and mark the 10th batch of such balloons since late May. In related news, Defense Minister Shin Won-sik has raised the possibility of North Korea unleashing a barrage of fire into the location from where South Korean civic groups have been floating their own balloons of leaflets, money and USB sticks of K-pop and dramas into North Korea. Remarks to this end were shared in a recent interview with Japan's Yomiuri Shimbun, during which he also vowed an immediate and intense response. Shin's concerns follow comments by North Korea's Kim Yo-jong, the sister of the leader Kim Jong-un, last week about a different approach to address the leaflets. The civic groups here in South Korea mainly consist of former North Koreans who have started new lives here in South Korea. Meanwhile, the ruling party here has elected a new leader. Han Dong-hoon is taking the reins of the People Power Party, having won almost 63% of the votes cast at its national convention on Tuesday. Our political correspondent Lee Si-hoo has details.
Following 4 days of voting among eligible party members and other citizens, the People Power Party on Tuesday announced the final winners of its leadership race. Han Dong-hoon has been announced as the new leader of the ruling People Power Party at its national convention, winning a majority with over 320,000 votes. Han beat 3 other candidates, winning over 62% of the total votes cast. In his acceptance speech, Han vowed the party will respond more to the public sentiment.
Let's try to respond a little more to the people and change according to their standards.
In the short term, Han is tasked with leading the PPP through its agendas at the National Assembly, despite its minority status. In the long term, he is expected to prepare the party for the local election, set to take place in June of 2026, where the PPP will aim for more regional leadership posts. Meanwhile, President Yoon Suk-yeol visited the event and delivered congratulatory words.
2024년 7월 23일 오늘 이 전당대회가 단결과 통합의 새 역사를 여는 자리로 기록될 것이라고 저는 믿습니다.
He added the future of the Conservative Party is in the hands of the party members. The PPP also announced 4 additional members to its Supreme Council. They are Kim Min-jeon, Kim Jae-won, Im Yoo-han, and Jang Dong-hyuk. The party also announced Jin Jong-ho as its new Youth Supreme Council member designated for those under 45. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
Over in the U.S., during her first presidential campaign rally in Wisconsin on Tuesday, Vice President Kamala Harris asked her crowd to choose between a country of freedom and compassion and a country of fear and chaos. Our Lee Sing-jae reports.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris earlier this week locked in her nomination support from Democrats, days after President Joe Biden dropped out of the running for a second term. On Tuesday, Harris took part in her first campaign rally in the battleground state of Wisconsin, where she criticized former President Donald Trump and asked voters to choose between freedom or chaos.
what kind of country do we want to live in? A country, and to your point, do we want to live in a country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear, and hate?
Harris also cited her past career as an attorney general and a prosecutor, saying that she's dealt with perpetrators of all kinds before referring to Trump.
Before I was elected vice president, before I was elected United States Senator, I was elected Attorney General of the state of California, and I was a courtroom prosecutor before then. And in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
Actor George Clooney, who has been a longtime supporter of the Democratic Party, has expressed his support for Harris. In a statement to CNN on Tuesday, Clooney called Harris's bid for presidency historic, adding that Biden has shown what true leadership is by making the decision to drop out of the race to save democracy. Clooney, who has long been an influential figure among Democrat backers in Hollywood last week, expressed concerns over Biden's ability to lead the country for another 4 years. Riding on the wave of support, the U.S. vice president was seen leading against Trump in a recent poll. According to a poll conducted on Monday and Tuesday by Reuters, Harris leads Trump by 2%, having received 44% support from the survey participants. While other polls have shown two potential candidates neck and neck, this latest poll is the first to show Harris's lead over Trump. As Harris looks to continue to convince Americans that she could lead the country as the first female president, President Biden is set to address the nation on Wednesday. According to the president on X, his White House address will include plans on what lies ahead and how he plans to finish the remainder of his term. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Staying in the U.S., Seoul's top diplomat to Washington says close aides to former President Donald Trump have acknowledged the importance of South Korea-U.S. alliance. According to Ambassador Cho Han-dong on Tuesday in Washington, D.C., officials at the Republican National Convention last week clarified that the America First campaign does not mean America alone, and that the U.S. would continue to cooperate closely with its allies should the Trump administration regain the reins of the White House. Cho also claimed there was strong emphasis on the significance of Seoul's alliance with Washington. Also in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, actor Yoo Ji-tae delivered a poignant speech about the plight of people in North Korea, calling on global leaders to put politics aside in addressing the atrocities faced by North Koreans within their borders. Now, he was speaking within his capacity as a goodwill ambassador for Seoul's Unification Ministry. Our correspondent Kim Jung-sil reports.
Old boy anti-hero Yoo Ji-tae said that despite the issue of North Korean human rights being painted as a political matter, it should only be about the people.
What we aim to discuss are the people within North Korea. I urge you to extend your hands to the darkest places.
Speaking at this year's International Dialogue on North Korean Human Rights in Washington, D.C., co-hosted by the National Endowment for Democracy, CSIS, and South Korea's Ministry of Unification, the actor said his focus expanded from his own life to the lives of others. Unification Minister Kim Yong-ho and U.S. Special Envoy for North Korean Human Rights, Julie Turner, also attended the event, but it was Yoo who stood out the most.
As a Korean living on the Korean Peninsula, my attention naturally turned to the most marginalized people in the world, those living in North Korea. Women who escape North Korea to avoid severe human rights abuses often face even harsher violations during their escape.
He has worked on the scenario for the webtoon Ankai, meaning wife, in the North Korean dialect. The digital cartoon depicts the hardships and challenges faced by women escaping from North Korea. The actor said it took nearly 10 years for the webtoon to be completed due to interviews and research, which made him passionate about the reality of North Korean defectors.
It is not injustice itself that nurtures injustice, but our indifference. If there is injustice anywhere in this world, do not close your eyes and turn away, but take action.
Last month, the actor said every South Korean should think about North Korean human rights at least once. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Intense downpours overnight across the southern and central parts of the country have led to rampant property damage and greater alarm about flash floods and landslides. Our Park Onu has more.
Torrential rainfall overnight and until the morning has caused damage in several regions across the country. By 9:34 a.m. on Wednesday, Jamsugyo Bridge in Seoul was closed in both directions, restricting all vehicle and pedestrian access due to higher water levels of the Hangang River. In Busan, up to 70 millimeters of rain per hour fell overnight, with over 150 millimeters in total, while more rain is forecast for during the day. Due to the sudden downpour, at least 16 houses and buildings were reported to be flooded, while one person in their 80s was trapped inside, leading to immediate support being provided by the fire department. Riverside walking trails and 4 underpasses were also closed, while the Korea Meteorological Administration advises people to stay away from rivers as more rain is expected during the day. Busan City held a meeting earlier in the morning to discuss safety measures along with preemptive measures. The third highest landslide warning on a 4-tier scale was issued in several areas including Gangwon-do and Gyeonggi-do provinces. This comes as Cheolwon-gun County in Gangwon-do had up to 70 millimeters of rain per hour pouring down, keeping worried residents awake during the night.
I couldn't sleep at all because I was worried of the soil coming down.
Around 70 incidents of damage related to the rain were reported in Gangwon-do province, including trees being pulled up and cars being damaged as store signs fell due to the strong wind that accompanied the rain. And due to heavy rain in areas of Gyeonggi-do province, such as Gapyeong-gun and Yeoncheon-gun counties, with around 40 to 50 millimeters of rain pouring down there, roads were flooded and closed. Park Onu, Arirang News.
In other news, the number of newborns in May saw an on-year rise for the second month in a row, but pundits remain cautious. Our Lee Soo-jin explains.
The number of births in South Korea rose on year for the second month in a row in May. Data from Statistics Korea on Wednesday shows that there were 19,547 births, a 2.7% increase compared to the same month last year. This marks the first time since November 2015 that the country has seen on-year increases in the number of births for the second consecutive month. The agency mainly attributed the rise to a base effect from low birth rates the previous year, as well as an upward trend in the number of marriages from August 2022 to the first half of 2023. But the number of births itself remains relatively low, as it's the second lowest figure on record after dropping to the lowest ever for the month of May last year. The number of deaths dropped 1.2% on year but remained high at 28,546 due to the aging population, bringing the natural decline in population to nearly 9,000. The number of divorces dropped 5.6% on year to nearly 8,000, while there was an uptick in the number of marriages. The number of marriages rose, surging 21.6% on year, which an official from the agency said was the largest increase for the month of May on record.
By region, Daejeon saw the highest increase in the number of births, and this was most likely due to subsidies for married couples. But other regions across the nation, other than Daejeon City, also saw rises.
The agency said that while further observations are needed, as of now it expects the nation to continue seeing increases in the number of births and marriages in the latter half of the year. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, for the first time in over 2 years, inflation prospects among Koreans have dropped below 3%. According to the Bank of Korea on this Wednesday, consumers here believe inflation will average 2.9% over the next 12 months. This outlook is also down 0.1 percentage point on month. The central bank is linking this latest finding to easing costs of agricultural products and processed foods. However, pundits are projecting a potential rebound in prices of farm goods amid the rampant damage caused by the latest torrential downpour. On the tech front, American tech firm Nvidia has granted the green light for the use of Samsung's fourth-generation high-bandwidth memory chips, the HBM3, in its graphics processing units. Now, this is according to sources speaking to Reuters in an exclusive report that was published on Wednesday. Details have yet to be disclosed, but as of now, it has been revealed that the chips will be used in the H20, the graphics processing unit developed for the Chinese market, in line with Washington's export controls. The actual Summer Olympic Games kick off today with the group events of football and rugby. Now, swimming is scheduled to start this Saturday, and Team Korea is aiming high. Our Choi Soo-young has more.
The 2024 Paris Olympics will feature 35 events in swimming, the second most after field athletics. Currently, South Korea is experiencing a renaissance in men's swimming, with stars such as Kim Woo-min and Hwang Sun-woo leading a golden generation aiming for their best ever performance in this Olympics. Kim Woo-min, a strong contender for the gold medal in the 400-meter freestyle, is one of the leaders. At the Tokyo Olympics, he only competed in the men's 800-meter freestyle relay with disappointing results. However, this time in Paris, he feels different. Kim is excited and looking forward to the competition with the major goal of breaking records as well as the gold medal. The men's 400-meter freestyle begins on the 27th. Another star, Hwang Sun-woo, will compete in 4 events: the men's 100-meter and 200-meter freestyle, the 400-meter individual medley, and the 800-meter freestyle relay. Hwang has won medals in the 200-meter freestyle at 3 consecutive World Championships. He is determined to perform well in the 200-meter race starting on the 28th.
In the 200-meter freestyle, I'm very close to winning a medal, and I'm really eager to win an Olympic medal in this event.
The team event, the 800-meter freestyle relay, is also a highlight. Team Korea finished 13th in the preliminaries in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. However, in the last year's Hangzhou Asian Games, led by Kim and Hwang, the golden generation set a new Asian record and won the gold medal. This has raised expectations for the team event, which includes 6 members: Lee Ho-jun, Kim Young-hyun, Lee Yu-yeon, and Yang Jae-hoon, along with Kim and Hwang.
We're focusing a lot on the 800-meter freestyle relay. The 6 of us are working well together on strategies and race planning to show great performances and results in Paris.
In Paris, Team Korea is looking forward to strong swimming performances from the golden generation in this new era. Choi Soo-young, Arirang News.
Now let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle resigned on Tuesday over security failures surrounding an assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. In a resignation letter, Cheatle, who had led the service since 2022, said she made the decision with a heavy heart and that she takes full responsibility for the security lapse. Cheatle faced calls from both Democrats and Republicans to resign after appearing before the House of Representatives Oversight Committee hearing on Monday, where she refused to answer questions about the shooting at Trump's outdoor campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, frustrating the lawmakers. President Joe Biden said he would appoint a new director soon. In the meantime, Deputy Director Ronald Rowe has been appointed as acting director of the agency. Now to an update on the deadly landslides in southern Ethiopia's Gofa zone. The death toll has risen to at least 229, as of Tuesday local time, a figure which may increase as authorities and residents continue to search for survivors and casualties. The Gopher Zone's Communications Affairs Department said on Tuesday that 148 men and 81 women had been killed so far, adding that the search for bodies was continuing vigorously. The head of the region's National Disaster Response Agency, Marcos Melis, said that he didn't know when the search would stop as bodies are still being recovered. Another local administrator, Dagmawi Ayele, said that children are hugging corpses, having lost their entire family. Monday's landslides were caused by heavy rains. Locals trying to rescue people buried in the first landslide, then got caught in the second, leading to a high number of casualties. With just days to go until the Paris Olympic Games, Polish high jumper Norbert Kobielski has been provisionally suspended for the use of a prohibited substance. The Athletics Integrity Unit announced on Tuesday that Kobielski tested positive for pentadrone norepinephrine metabolite, a banned substance, and that a notice of the allegation had been issued to the athlete. International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach commented on Kobielski's suspension, saying, quote, "It is good to keep the cheaters out of the games." Kobielski has reportedly left the Polish Olympic delegation. The 27-year-old high jumper came 7th in the World Indoor Championships earlier this year. The European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service said that last Sunday, July 21st, was the hottest day recorded since tracking began. According to C3S, the global average surface air temperature reached 17.09 degrees Celsius on Sunday, beating the previous record of 17.08 degrees Celsius set last summer. Director of the Climate Change Service, Carlo Bontempo, said on Monday that this week could see days even hotter than Sunday's heat record, as heat waves continue to scorch large parts of the US, Europe, and Russia. While Sunday's record seems like only a minor increase, Bontempo commented that the pace of climate change is remarkable, especially in the last 13 months. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Rain bomb that drenched east of Gyeonggi-do and Gangwon-do is letting up, but 5 to 60 millimeters of passing rain is in the forecast for the rest of the country. So wherever you are, have an umbrella handy today. Most of Korea had tropical night, and except for rain-affected regions, heat wave alerts remain in place with Daegu and Jeju seeing highs of 34 degrees Celsius this afternoon, and daily highs could be 1 to 4 degrees higher than yesterday. Seoul tops out at 30 degrees, Gwangju getting up to 33 degrees Celsius. But it will feel hotter than these extra temperatures with that moisture in the air. And despite the passing rain, UV rays should be high to very high in most regions. Korea is going through the hottest time of the year. We had Daeseol, the big heat, on Monday and Jungbok tomorrow. So please brace for searing heat for the next couple of weeks and take well care of yourself. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up next is our daily panel session, so do stay with us.